As you talk about nanotech, and we've also talked about the great potential of nanotechnology in, for instance, medicine and genetics in this podcast before. What is your stance on it? You've already talked a little bit about it, and where do you want to bring it with your projects? Because you're also involved in nanotechnology.
Well, it's very simple. I'll show you.
Wow.
Here is a book from 1992, Nanosystems by Eric Drexler, and it's rather thick. And it's full of formulas and graphs, and it describes the technological approach, how you can actually build useful systems out of individual atoms, and how is that supposed to work. So the problem is that these ideas were so revolutionary that everybody either ignored them or simply didn't know how to fit them into the existing scientific paradigm, existing funding mechanisms. So what happened is really a tragedy, because I mean, it would probably be easier if Eric Drexler just, I don't know, died from hunger, or if somebody killed him, because then it would kind of make sense that we don't have nanotechnology because some crazy killed this researcher. But what we have is even more tragic, because currently Eric Drexler works under Nick Bostrom in the Future of Humanity Institute in Oxford, and he's apparently paid a salary, and he probably lives in comfort because Oxford is part of advanced civilization. So like, he has running water, sanitation, food in his fridge, and he's not working on nanotech. He publishes articles about strategies in artificial intelligence. He analyzes what are the chances that other civilizations exist in Milky Way. And as far as I'm aware, for like 10 years, he hasn't worked on bringing this vision of nanotechnology to reality. And it's as if our civilization, our society collectively like lobotomized Drexler, just getting into his brain and removing nanotechnology ideas from there. And obviously we didn't do that directly, but we did that through neglect and through our ignorance, because no matter how many heads of states he met, no matter how many scientists invited him to conferences, no matter how much he spoke in front of different companies, the end result was that no one took the initiative to develop molecular machines as he envisioned that, and as is entirely possible. So that is really unlike, I mean, there are two examples. What happened to Drexler is one example. What happened to Douglas Engelbart in 1970s, that's another example. So we had some genius ideas about how we can move forward the technological frontier, and in at least two cases, we ignored that. So that is connected to my second area of concern, the innovation system, because unlike with railroads, for example, and steel and steam engine, where hundreds of people were involved. Everyone was building better steam engines. Everyone was improving railroads. People were trying different types of railroads, different machines, different strategies. And there was exciting industrial development about that. And people were using railroads. They were scared to ride them, but they still rode them, and passengers rode them. And there was cargo going around England. And that was really a revolution. The Industrial Revolution started that way. And we have nothing like that with nanotech or intelligence augmentation, which when you look at the big history at the 2 centuries, the past 2 centuries of civilizational development, it really shows that something is really sick in how a society is structured. And that is something that few people see. People like Peter Thiel and others, those who are interested in progress studies, they speak about slowdown, about secular stagnation, people like Robert Gordon and others. But I mean, I don't think I've ever encountered any of them mentioning specifically these 2 examples of nanotech and intelligence augmentation because these two are like magic technologies. They're something called general purpose technologies, like electricity or steam engine or a car or a computer. That is something that you can do millions of different things with. So nanotech is like that. You can build spaceships, you can transform entire planets, you can create artificial cells, you can rewrite our DNA, reconstruct all the proteins in our cells. And you can do that just by exploring what can be done with molecular machines. And intelligence augmentation is also similar, because intelligence is our main tool, and everything that we do in this world is done usually partly with intelligence. So if you improve the intelligence, like by 10%, you improve by 10% everything that happens in the world, including innovations, including science, including thinking. And that was supposed to really launch our civilization in 1970, launch it into space, not just literally, but figuratively as well. And that didn't happen. So that is something that most people miss, and also people who are managing our science and technologies, like in Russia, for example, the Academy of Sciences, the Ministry of Higher Education and Science, people there, they don't think about these problems, and they seem to think that everything is kind of fine. So that means that I have this task also to study how the innovation system works and put it into simple enough words eventually, so that people understand that it's not just about startups or about giving more money to scientists. That's about setting some very deep, some very fundamental priorities about what we as a human civilization of 8 billion people, what we need to create. Like we need another fire, or we need another wheel. So nanotech is something akin to fire. Intelligence augmentation is something akin to wheel. And we are like people who saw this future of, I don't know, like trains running on steam power, and you try to explain to everybody else, like, wouldn't it be cool if we had these wheels running over rails? And people say, what is a wheel? What is a rail? And you can't explain it to them.
Yeah,
No.
if you can't explain it, I think you should just show it, right?
Yeah,
we actually did it, because the project that we are running with Nanotech, it's a virtual reality simulation, which allows you to use hand control. So not controllers where you press buttons, but instead your 10 fingers using either lip motion or Oculus Quest 2, which tracks hands. And you can, in VR, you can see individual atoms, and you can take them and move them and connect them. And they are behaving as in real matter, as in real molecules. And our idea is that if we can get at least children, maybe students in universities, but even children would do, if we can give them these pieces of matter and teach them, basically not teach them, but just show them that you can try and explore matter on the atomic level, then they will learn how to create small molecular parts, which Drexler describes in his Nanosystems book. And maybe we don't need a huge government project designing nanomachines. Maybe we can get just 10 or 15 years old in VR, who just thousands of them together working in a multiplayer space. They would be able to create conceptually huge machines like people do with Legos or in Minecraft, where they can have like working computers or assembly lines. And if we can do the same with this virtual reality simulation of matter, then we can get, we can cross the threshold of complexity and create something which is believable enough so that we can go to a huge corporation or a funding agency or a billionaire and say, look at this virtual reality simulation of molecular machines. If we put $1 billion into that, we can create a similar one, but running in real life, debug it, and then enjoy the fruits of nanotech. So that's the strategy with persuading people to work on nanomachines.